Raider Nation, what is going on? Coming to you guys most likely from your quarantine spots. Obviously, you guys probably don't have much going on tonight. Everything's closed down. Can't go out Saturday night. So what better to do than sit down with me and talk about some Raiders football and talk about all these crazy free agency transactions so far. This is like my third time talking about it on a mic, like 3 days in a row. And I can't get enough of it myself. I mean, we got a few more guys today, right? I mean, the thing, it's just been rolling, steamrolling. Mike Mayock, John Gruden, or I like to call him Gruyak. I don't know who started that or where it came from. There's a lot of nicknames coming out. But, hey, shout out to everybody in the chat. Chat's been lit, as you can tell. I got a new little setup here. So, for those joining in, no matter where people are watching on their TV or anything, you can jump in the chat and it's gonna be showing up here. Yeah, you know, my way, I guess, of keeping you guys as involved with this show as possible, because live streaming is going to be hopefully my little niche, working on some new things. So if there's technical difficulties, I'm sorry. I'm always welcome to feedback if you follow me on Twitter. I'll take it later. But hey, guys, I mean, the Raiders got some linebackers. We got some freaking linebackers. If you want, drop in the chat here. What's up, Lewis? I see you guys tagging me here. Appreciate you guys. If you guys can, I want some immediate grades. You know, I'm going to break down. I'm going to talk about each player individually here that we've signed, but I want some overall free agency grades, how the Raiders did. Give it an A plus, A minus. What's going on, Milton? What's going on, Mario? New subscriber, shout out. I appreciate it. Make sure you guys do subscribe to this channel if you're watching for the first time. Would definitely appreciate that. So, you know, go ahead and drop that grade overall. For me, I'm going to give them... I'll give him an A minus, and I'm going to keep him in the A range because we absolutely killed it. I think we addressed some needs, but the only thing I will say that we did miss on was some corners. And not to say I'm knocking them for it, because you can't get every free agent out there, but obviously those were goals that the team had in place. Obviously Mike Mayock and John Gruden, were trying to address that corner opposite of Trayvon Mullen, and, you know, they didn't come out successful. Of course, you know, we signed Eli Apple, which we'll talk about later. But, you know, we're looking for that Byron Jones. We went all in on Byron Jones. We had an offer out there for Chris Harris. Of course, he decided to go lose in L.A. with the Chargers. But I'm going to give him an A minus just for that reason. A, B minus, what's going on? There we go. What's up, Larry? Yeah, man. Free agency so far, this is round 2 for Mike Mayock, and I think he killed it. Obviously, him and John Gruden have a very consistent duo going on here. Obviously, they're in sync and addressing the team needs that we need. So let's go ahead and let's jump into this first signing here. Nick Kwiatkowski came in. This was our first signing, a free agency, and a guy that I'm sure a few people out there knew about. Maybe they had him on their radar. For me personally, he wasn't at the top of my free agent list he was, on there. He was on my radar. He was a familiar name that I wanted to watch. But we brought him in on a three-year deal, $21 million, which for a starting middle linebacker is amazing. But we are going to expect now, I love what Kwiatkowski's going to bring, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's just a given stud. This is, in my opinion, a pretty low-risk move, but we are expecting a lot out of him to put that green dot on and be the leader of this defense. What's up, Samoan Raider? We got a YouTube OG in here. Appreciate you, man, jumping in. Grizz, shout out Grizz Turner, jumping in the chat here as one of my moderators. Keep track of Grizz. He is he's a big-time dude in Raider Nation whenever it comes to stats and facts. So if I stumble a little bit, Grizz will be in the chat, of course, to correct me if I'm wrong. I rely on him for that. Shout out Grizz. So, yeah, obviously, Kwiatkowski coming off, I think he played, maybe 7 or 8 games last year. Somewhere in that range. And he's kind of one of those guys that's a do-it-all middle linebacker. For the most part, you don't really – we're not going to know what we get out of Kwiatkowski until we see a full season. But you don't really come across these linebackers that can step in like this and do it all. Rush the passer when needed. The dude is blowing up blockers. There was teams last year. We saw it with the Minnesota Vikings. I posted a clip on my Twitter page. Dalvin Cook's sitting back there. He's held back in max protection, and Kwiatkowski just blows him up in the middle, man. Pushes him all the way back into the quarterback and just blows up the play. Absolutely nuts. So I have a lot of hope in this guy. By all means, definitely have a lot of hope in this guy. And I think he's going to come in here, man, and be hopefully, we have, of course, our other biggest signing. And let's go ahead and switch over to him, too. But Corey Littleton here. Corey Littleton, between him and Corey Littleton, these are our two guys that we're going to rely on the most. Corey Littleton coming in my opinion, on a bargain, an absolute bargain. Really, I was thinking, at least $15 million a year. That's kind of what I thought. Of course, he was probably, could have got that maybe a few more years, but, a 3-year, $36 million deal, not even $12 million annually for Littleton. So, give me your thoughts. Drop it in the chat. I'm not really keeping up with it right now, but I'm sure you guys are in love with these linebackers. As am I. Let's see if we can bring these guys up here. Bam. Kwiatkowski and Corey Littleton, absolutely huge for us, in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts. If there's something else you think we need. Yeah, we killed it. Hey, I agree. Troy Romero, shout out, man. Jaden, shout out. I think we absolutely killed it. And what you got to think about is I think, there's still some room for improvement in the linebacker room. But it's not a need anymore. You know what I mean? We have our 2 rotational guys. One, Markel Lee, who specializes in, short yardage situations. You bring him in there on like a 3rd and short, a 3rd and goal, anything, goal line situations. Markel Lee's your dude. He's dang near a defensive end whenever it comes to stuff like that. Powerful downhill tackler. And then, of course, maybe you, get into a big spread package and you still have Nicholas Morrow out there that can rotate in for either one of these guys. Of course, still, these 2 on the field 24/7. I think the silver and black is in great hands and with great contracts. It's absolutely nuts, honestly. See if we can catch up here on the chat here. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see. So we're already going through some of the other names. I'm going to get to some of the other names here soon. But so far, linebacker, absolutely loving it. Now, one of our first, I skipped a signing. I'm trying to go in order here, but I skipped a signing. Let's look at Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota, I love this signing. Absolutely love it. It's a dude that's going to come in. He's going to compete with Derek Carr. He's going to go in there and he's going to go out there and be, he's going to be competitive. He's a quarterback that wants to go out there and he wants to play. But in the same breath, we saw it last year with Tannehill. He has no problem sitting back behind the starter and helping him out as much as possible. And there's been multiple situations where I've seen it where the backup quarterback, for the most part, most of them just sit on the sideline and whatever, maybe they discuss some things. But when you have a good backup quarterback, it's really nice to be able to go down, sit down. Derek can't always just sit next to John Gruden and break things down, but Derek can go sit down next to Marcus Mariota and bounce ideas off of him. Really get some good input. So I really love Marcus Mariota. I know Samoan Raider is here in the chat. I think that's his cousin, if I remember right. So shout out to the Samoans out there, man. Some good stuff. Shout out Oos. But Marcus Mariota, absolutely huge. Now, this signing, Marcus Mariota was fun. I mean, that was awesome. Shored up our quarterback room after we heard that, what are their names? Long Neck and Kaiser, that they weren't coming back, right? Of course, we had Peterman. We stashed Peterman. We tendered him. I don't know what is going on here, but we're treating Peterman like it's just like a prized possession. I don't really know exactly what he's going to bring to us. Shout out RBG Productions in here. Good stuff. I see you guys in the chat. I'm going to try and keep up as much as possible. I need reading glasses right now, so it's going to be hard for me to keep up with the chat because I can't see as well. I got reading glasses here, but I'm not gonna rock them. You know, it's not cool to rock the reading glasses. But this one here, you know, we go in and I get hit with a curveball, right? We're like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, we just landed Corey Littleton. Like, we're rolling, right? And then they're like, bam, Jason Witten. And it's like, where did this come from? And you know, I'm not bashing Jason Witten whatsoever. I love Jason Witten, man. I mean, he's one of those just like OG football players. He's been around, obviously loves football so much. He thought he'd retire, get a broadcasting job, which is amazing that most NFL players can't get. Thought he'd retire, but then he wanted to come back and play football. And I thought it was just for the Cowboys, but here he is now wanting to play football for the Raiders in Las Vegas. So that's definitely interesting. Let me know you guys' thoughts in the chat on the Jason Witten signing. And as we're going, man, as I talk about each player, feel free to even, you know, drop a letter grade in there. Let me know what you think. I'm trying to read up as much as possible. I see a lot of Peterman comments in there. I'm gonna skip over those. I love Nathan Peterman, man. He's good for some good jokes. And you know, I see him in the future maybe being a solid backup quarterback, but still has a lot of proving to do. But yeah, Jason Witten definitely threw me a curveball, but I love him. He's gonna be a good mentor to Foster Moreau. Actually, I think he's gonna be a great mentor to Foster Moreau, or Morrow, however you say. I think it's Foster Morrow. That's how Alec Ingold told me on my podcast. So I'm gonna stick with Alec. People will say mentor for Darren Waller. Honestly, I think he'll be, in my opinion, he has a good chance of being a team captain. Filling in like that Lee Smith role. I think that's going to be kind of more of his thing. Come in there, high percentage, like, you know, maybe 10% of his catches are going to be for touchdowns type guy. Key situations, get him in there, let him just go in there and be clutch. Obviously, he's not going to be able to play a lot. Sorry, your post on Darius Slay. I thought the Raiders were going to pick, but it was just false. Yeah, my post, I'm sorry. Some of my stuff on Twitter, sometimes I post things that are serious, but a lot of times they're kind of cryptic and I just like sarcastic, like I'm just making jokes. So it's hard to sometimes pick up whenever I'm being real or not. But yeah, Darius Slay was obviously kind of a pipe dream. We're right now, the Raiders, I think, are rolling pretty low on money, and it starts to make me wonder a little bit now with Gabe Jackson. I want you guys to give me some thoughts here. Shout out to the Silver and Black podcast in here. Subscribe to their channel. They look like they're a good Raiders content producer here. I like that kind of stuff. Is Moreau hurt worse than we are letting on? Last time, whenever I talked to Alec Ingold, this was about a month ago, he said that he was ahead of schedule. That was about a month ago. I don't think he is, but I think it is just maybe a safety blanket. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, $5 million contract, I think Jason Witten should make the team. But what necessarily did Derek Carrier do for us last year? Was he replaceable? Would you bring him in for Jason Witten? I would, in my opinion, just kind of like what we did with like a Lee Smith type thing, in my opinion. So I forget where I was going. Oh, so we're a little low on cap. I think pretty low on cap. You know, we're kind of just looking for those like real low depth signings, $2-3 million contract type things. But I think now I'm starting to get a hint a little bit with some of these, making some offensive line moves, right? We'll go ahead and skip down here. Nah, we'll wait. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about Gabe Jackson later. But I think Gabe Jackson could be getting expendable a little bit. I'm definitely keeping my eye on that. Now, next signing, one of my favorites. It's kind of one of those, you know, we're watching free agency like, okay, that was cool, that was a good signing. Then bam, you know, we got a good one. Same thing here. Malik Collins. Let's see. Did you see Ingold on Compton's podcast? Yes, he had some good discussions with Josh Jacobs. Was absolutely great. Can we admire the fact? Let's see. Let's cover this Malik Collins real quick. I'll try and keep up with the chat here. Shout out to Grizz. Yeah, there we go. Nick O'Leary, I agree. Yeah, playing fullback, kind of an all-around guy. Good stuff. But Malik Collins now, defensive tackle, I think is going to be huge for us. Absolutely huge. He's going to come in, I think, as just a game changer, right? Now, it kind of makes you wonder even now about Jonathan Hankins. Jonathan Hankins is playing on a $5 million contract, 1 year left. I think half of it's guaranteed. So we'd have like 2.5 in like dead money. Pretty sure. Grizz, you can probably correct me on that if I'm wrong. Somewhere in that range. But Malik Collins came in here, right? He averages over 35 quarterback pressures a year. Last year he had 48 quarterback pressures, and he has like 4 sacks every single year. That's amazing, absolutely amazing. Shout out Raider Mike, Savage Content. I love it. Savage Content. That's what we're calling for here. Might have to dub the channel Raider Cody Savage Content. No, just kidding. Appreciate you, Raider Mike. But Malik Collins, big time for us. He's going to go in there, be paired with a guy like, and you got to look at, I mean, just like what the 49ers did or what the Rams were doing, right? Those good pass rushing teams, you're getting pressure up the middle. Malik Collins is going to get that. Mo Hurst, even though Mo Hurst only matched his sack total with 4, he's still, I mean, I think his pressure is like doubled from his rookie year. So Mo Hurst, although it didn't like really look like he had a jump, if you're watching Mo Hurst play, he's definitely getting a lot more pressure up the middle. Now, the only question I have, and I mentioned this, I think, on my YouTube video a few days ago, and that was PJ Hall. PJ Hall, there were some questions that, like, I guess rose up a few weeks ago about just his work ethic and stuff, how committed he is. Kind of seemed like maybe a call out. And I don't remember, I believe it might have been at the Combine. I don't know if it was John Gruden or Mike Mayock. Someone in the chat might be able to refresh my memory. So, PJ Hall did kind of get called out. I don't know if that means that he's on the bubble or if that means that they're just looking for him to make that jump because he had sparks his rookie year, and I really want him and Mo Hurst, man, had some, they gave us promise, especially whenever we were like in the preseason their rookie year. They gave us promise. PJ Hall was an absolute stud, so hopefully he can, kind of whip him back into shape and get him back out there. That's the hope. Kind of the same thing, I guess, with Gabe Jackson. You see those rumors pop out on Gabe Jackson, and you don't really know what that's going to entail. For me, I like to think, okay, maybe he is possibly being shopped. Maybe he's not. But we like to hope that they can make things work out and be solid players, right? Let's go in the chat here a little bit. Here we go, Grizz. Let's see if you can correct me. The whole quote was directed to the whole defensive line, just a warning because Marinelli's known as, hey, there we go. I love the addition of Rod Marinelli. I guess we can switch paces a little bit here to that because I think Rod Marinelli is a perfect safety blanket for anybody that has any concerns with Paul Guenther. Right? He kind of gets eased into this spot to where Marinelli's going to learn Paul Guenther's system. Anything happens, we have a smooth transition now. I mean, look, I hope the best for Paul Guenther. I hope we get him more talent. We're able to give him more looks because now we'll have the personnel, right? I hope that's the case. But now if we have a case like last year and we see him struggling and frustrated, last year I don't think we really had the answer for somebody to take over the defense. As much as I'd love our $100 million head coach to do that, I don't think he's quite equipped to do that. Right now, Rod Marinelli put us in this situation last year. Rod Marinelli, I think, would be able to come in and take over this defense, no problem, basically. So that's how I'm looking at that. Next signing I'm going to look at, another Dallas Cowboy. This is the third Dallas Cowboy in a row, of course, and that's Jeff Heath. He came in on a 2-year deal, $6 million, and I see him kind of just similar to an Eric Harris role type player. I think Eric Harris now has a little bit more expanded role, a little bit more responsibility. Of course, he had some standout games last year where he came away with some big-time picks, changing the pace, doing some great things. So, let's see. CD is nice. I love the chat. I love Raider Nation, guys, because you are all on the same page pretty much as me. We are just loving all these rookie wide receivers coming out in this class. And, eventually I'm going to get into the draft more. Right now I'm going to talk more about free agency, and I really want to talk about the big 3 wide receivers out there. Cough, cough. I'm a huge Henry Ruggs fan, but that's besides the point. I like all 3 pretty much equally. But looking at Jeff Heath, 2 years, $6 million contract. Really the last 2 or 3 years, his role has expanded himself. But he is that every down can play, special teams, can go out there. He can play safety if need be. And that kind of beat that. Who's that kid that we had? Dallin Levitt. Dallin Levitt this could be Dallin Levitt's spot. Sit back, be the last safety on the bubble, and step in and do anything that we might need from him whenever the time comes. So Jeff Heath, I think good signing. Obviously very familiar with Rod Marinelli. Rod obviously knows what he's getting out of him. So that was some good insight for him. We got a few more guys left. We got like 5 more guys. Real quick, I'm going to take a real short break here. Maybe like a minute. In the chat, I want you to drop in the chat where you guys are listening from. Drop your town, drop your state, drop your country. I don't know where you're listening from. I don't know what the time zone is. Drop where you're listening from, and I want you to go ahead and actually, if you're quarantined, put how many days it's been since you left the house. So, yeah, let's do that. Short break. I'll be right back. There we go. See here in the chat, Logan, Utah. What's up, Raider Roo? Raider Roo, I've been talking to you on the phone a few times here, Raider Roo. What's going on, man? If you guys don't follow Raider Roo, make sure you follow him on Twitter. I forget his handle. I think he's got a few numbers after it. What's going on here? Let's switch over. Silver and Black Podcast. Collaborate, man. Let's do it. DM me. I saw a comment here just a little bit ago. Let me scroll back up. Let me find this sucker. Because if it says what I thought I said, I'm going to give him a shout out. Larry Souza, Tulare, California. Shout out, man. That's where I'm from. Tulare, California. Coming to you live from Tulare, California right now. Coming to you live. So, let me get back here in the chat. Raider Roo. Some good chats, man. Good chats. Telling you. Yeah, message me on Twitter, Silver and Black Podcast. Shout out Sal. Shout out Grizz. Shout out Danny. What's going on, man? Leonardo. What's going on? Jaden. John Joe. Raider Mike V. Michael. Big Panda. Brittany S. The Only Nation. Julian. Michael Gonzalez. Hector. What's going on, guys? Appreciate you guys jumping in the chat. Trask Morgan, Arizona. Jeremy S. Let's go. Let's get it. So, picking up where I left off, last few free agent signings. Make sure everyone's still here and ready to go. Yeah, at Raider Roo 0124. See, I knew it was a few numbers. Next signing here. Let's scroll on down here. And this is a defensive end that it's going to be a little, I don't want to say controversial, but it does make you raise some eyebrows, because now you wonder what's going to happen with our number 4 overall pick. And this is actually a conversation, just so happens, shout out again, Raider Roo. This is a conversation that we just had yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Whenever I talked to him on the phone. And I did a defensive breakdown on what we should do, who we should add, and I'd recommended adding a defensive end. I think at the time, I think it was like Van Noy. And I took Clelin Ferrell out of my make-believe 4-man lineup, right? So I think Nassib here, Carl Nassib, I don't know why whenever I see his name, I want to say Carl Nassib. I don't know why Nassib just like looks right, but it's Carl Nassib. I think that he comes in here now, and you got to think of defensive line. I don't care who the starters are. I really don't. I just want a healthy rotation of guys depending on the down and distance. So Nassib's going to be able to come in here, I think, in my opinion. He could start opposite of Max Crosby. Clelin Ferrell could be coming in as like your main, like, let's call it, like, I mean, I don't know, like it's basketball. Like he's like the 6th man. The 6th man is very important because he's like running both rotational units, right? So Clelin Ferrell is a guy that I think will come back bigger, bulkier, and maybe, maybe he's not like the starter, but it doesn't matter because I think he's going to have a big bounce back year. He's bulking, big time bulking, so I think he could be a very, what's the word I'm looking for? He can bounce in, he can bounce out. If he wants to rush on the outside on short yardage, I don't necessarily see him as like a pass rushing defensive end. Full blown. Maybe he kicks inside. Maybe he's in there with Malik Collins or Mo Hurst. Maybe he's that guy that's helping keeping everybody fresh, as well as hopefully Deion Jordan is still in that mix. I loved what Deion Jordan brought, rotating in on the outside, stuff like that. So I think Carl Nassib is going to come in here and be huge. I mean, either one of these guys, Carl Nassib could be that guy for all I know, right? It could be Clelin Ferrell being the guy, but he could be the starter. Maybe Carl Nassib's the rotational guy. Carl's coming in here on a 3-year, $25 million contract. What is that, a little over $8 million a year? So some good money. Obviously, we're expecting him to have a pretty big role. He came in now, coming off last season, 36 quarterback pressures, 6 sacks, and 24 quarterback hurries. Came in, I mean, honestly played pretty well. He's a good all-around defensive end. Like I said, I can see him, Max, and Clelin Ferrell being the 3 dudes, no matter who it is. I like them all. Do you think Deion Jordan come back? Hopefully Deion Jordan is coming back. That's what I'm hoping for. Now, going down the list here, this is probably the first, I'd say, controversial signing that we had. Of course, Jason Witten was a little questionable, but then we go and we get Eli Apple. Eli Apple, I'm not really sure what to think of Eli Apple. I like it. I'm all for giving guys that seem like they've had, trouble in the past. Like they just can't get their head right. I'm all for giving Eli Apple another chance here, a fresh start. He's coming in. Of course, I think he was originally with the New York Giants. I think it was a first-round pick, right? Ivan, what up, Ivan? I see you jumping in the chat. Ivan the Great. Been around for a long time, even before YouTube. Appreciate you, Ivan. Eli Apple was, I believe, a first-round pick. Then he ended up coming in to trade scenario to go to New Orleans. And, of course, in New Orleans, that first year, that big playoff year that they had, that first playoff run, I thought he played great, right? He allowed like a 59% reception percentage. I think his passer rating allowed was like 85, 85.8, 85.9. Don't quote me on that, something around there. And he had like over 10 pass breakups. Now, this last year, he fell off a little bit. He had a couple interceptions last year, 2 years ago. But this last year, he fell off a little bit. He allowed a passer rating of 107.5. He only had 3 pass breakups. He had 0 interceptions. He allowed 3 touchdowns. But he did allow a 63.2% catch percentage, which is all right still. It's right in that range. Now, Eli Apple, I'm not really sure. I don't want to say, hopefully they're not really allowing or hoping that he's going to be the guy week 1. I like Eli Apple in the rotation. Kind of like how we had Nevin Lawson. But we still have Nevin Lawson, right? We just re-signed him, I believe. So between the two of them, I'm not really sure what our thoughts are. Now, I really like Eli Apple just in kind of a reduced, controlled role. I still hope, and I still have, hey, let me throw a little wild card out there. I've been high on Isaiah Johnson since last training camp. He was whenever I went to training camp last year, he was the one corner in my opinion that really stood out. Isaiah Johnson looked great out there. He seemed to be the only dude running down the sideline when Antonio Brown was there, I guess, a few times. But Isaiah Johnson looked great. Now, health, you can't rely on him either, right? You can't rely on Isaiah Johnson right now either. He needs to stay healthy. He needs to play a full season. So we got to ease him into a role. So right now, other than Trayvon Mullen, shout out Trayvon Mullen because he is the one guy that helps me sleep at night in our secondary, along with Jonathan Abram. But opposite of Trayvon Mullen, we don't know what we're going to get. I think that turns our needs right now into a wide receiver and a corner. I think those are our two biggest needs. A corner might be a bigger need. As much as I want a wide receiver, 12 and 19 might be a wide receiver and a corner. Of course, Mike Mayock, you got to think, fans always think need. You got to draft a need. You got to go after this guy because we need that position. But you also have to think you don't want to pass on the best player available. Like, I don't care who's on the board. I don't care if we don't have a corner to save our life. If there's a guy that falls to us that Mike Mayock thinks is going to be like the best linebacker of our generation, we already have linebackers. I hope he drafts that freaking linebacker because he's going to be great. Don't reach for a guy because we need it. Of course, though, that's what John Gruden's going to do. John Gruden wants positions. He wants the need, and Mike Mayock's job is to, of course, find the talent and go for the best. Boom, boom, boom. Wide receiver 1, corner, free safety. Shout out Grizz. Yes, sir. I agree. I'd love a corner and a safety to be in our lap by the end of the 3rd round, of course. Here we go. 2 wide receivers in the 1st. This is stuff I'm going to break this stuff down. And I don't think we're going to get 2 wide receivers in the 1st. I really don't think we're going to. But if they did, I'm here for it. 100%. I'm here for it if we get 2 wide receivers in the 1st. 100%. Now, next signing. This is something that Raider Nation's very familiar with from if you went to an Oakland tailgate, and that's Cush. Eric Cush. Eric Cush played, I think, half the season. 7 games, 8 games. I don't know. I always get confused. But about half the season, he allowed 19 quarterback pressures, 2 sacks. He had 4 penalties on him. Had he played for the Raiders, he'd probably have 10 putting penalties on him. Who knows? So you always got to double their numbers whenever they come to the Raiders because that's how the penalties work for the silver and black. But Eric Cush now. Eric Cush is going to be a guy that this was kind of what sparked the Gabe Jackson thing for me. And, of course, the Gabe Jackson name hit the trade rumors. I forget who dropped it. Maybe a rap sheet. My good old buddy Ian Rappaport. Maybe I'll shoot him a text and see what's going on actually with that Gabe Jackson stuff just to get an update one day. But Ian Rappaport came out and he said that Gabe Jackson's name was being brought up in trade rumors. And that doesn't, in my opinion now, with what we have set up with Mike Mayock and John Gruden, I don't think that happens unless the Raiders are looking for a trade suitor and they can't really find one, like if nobody's calling. So they put that out there so other teams start calling. So maybe we're struggling to find a trade suitor. Maybe, hopefully, if we end up just cutting him, that'd be terrible. Hopefully, he sticks around because I like Gabe Jackson. I'd like for our entire offensive line unit to stay the way it is. Of course, he had a down year. But look, don't get me wrong. Coming off that knee injury, I was there at training camp when he went down on that knee, and everybody thought the worst. Seeing that cart come out, dude couldn't put weight on it. He didn't want to stand up. He didn't want to do nothing. We thought he was out for the year. The fact that he even came back and played, obviously was still playing through a little bit of pain at times, soreness, tightness, everything that was going on to be able to just make that knee right to play. I'd like to still see him have an opportunity to come back in and play, in the same beefy offensive line that we've built. But, of course, we just, we extended Richie Incognito, who held down that left side like an anchor. We brought back in Denzel Good, who played phenomenal when his name was called. So does that make him expendable now because we got Eric Cush? Because Eric Cush can step in and play, I think, if we need him to. And really, you got to think about it. You're playing between – will Cush get jersey number 69? That is funny. Someone should tell him that. Cush will be playing between Rodney Hudson, and Trent Brown. Like, how do you not do good at your job playing between Rodney Hudson and Trent Brown? Like, maybe one of the best all-around centers in the league. I shouldn't say maybe. Is. You know, he's calling out coverages. He's calling out blitzes. He's reading the defense. He knows who's coming. He's almost playing quarterback pretty much of the offensive line. And then, of course, you have like the biggest human on earth, Trent Brown, to your right. How do you screw that up? So after Cush, here's our second controversial signing of the offseason. Nelson Agholor. Go ahead and drop what you guys think of signing Nelson Agholor. I see you guys are already talking about him a little bit, but go ahead and keep talking. What do you guys think about Nelson Agholor? In my opinion, I mean, he had 10 targets in a Super Bowl. He had 9 receptions in a Super Bowl. That's what I'm looking at. You see that Super Bowl patch on his jersey. Has he struggled with drops? Yes. He's had 24 career drops, 18 career touchdowns. Yes, he struggled with drops. But he's not a wide receiver 1. He's not a starting wide receiver. I think he comes in here on a good contract. From what I hear, he wanted to play for the Raiders more than another team. I think he took maybe less money to play for the Raiders, so we'll see about that. But Nelson Agholor, in my opinion, another guy just like an Eli Apple, needs a fresh start. Let me jump in the thing here. Coop 2.0, you can say that, but Amari Cooper does have a worse drop rate, much worse drop rate. I think it's like a whole percent higher. It's like 6.5% something for Agholor. It's like 7.8% drop rate for Amari Cooper. Wide receiver 4, I agree, maybe 5. Kick returner, punt returner, I agree with that too because he did that fluidly at USC. And shout out to my buddy Kenny King Jr. Kenny King actually, I think, tweeted that out. And subscribe to his channel if you guys are snooping around for more Raiders content. My buddy Kenny King, co-host of the podcast, also has a YouTube channel. Make sure you check him out. But I think Nelson Agholor, I mean, as much as people bag on it, I don't think that we need that much. We're not expecting that much out of him. We're not expecting that much. Let me see here. Quinn was going to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure wide receiver is supposed to catch the ball. Amari Cooper never got that memo. Was a beast 2 years ago, exactly. Came into Philadelphia. And I thought played well. I thought he played great. Maybe he just needs that fresh start again. I've heard from another Philadelphia fan that just thought, hey, like, he just needs like that good environment. It's in his head. Needs some support. But it's like, man, like then I'm thinking it's like, dude, like Raider Nation, like, roasts people, man. Like Raider Nation just gets on these people all the time as soon as they screw up. So I'm not really sure what's going to come out of it, but hopefully Raider Nation can get behind the guy, help him get his head right, and keep this thing going. I'd love to be able to see a bounce back year. He couldn't catch the coronavirus. Raider Godzilla, shout out. Rotational player, exactly. I would have loved him last year when guys were going down. He gets separation, man. He's got legs. He's a yakster, man. He can get that yards after a catch. Yeah, has he struggled on some deep balls, but luckily that's not like our bread and butter in the John Gruden offense. We'll get going out there. Nelson Agholor, a good short pass catcher. Get the ball in his hands. He runs like a gazelle. I mean, he catches like Amari Cooper, but he runs like a gazelle. So, I mean, Nelson Agholor, I'm not gonna kill him for it. If you guys hopefully are still dropping your grades in the chat, I'd love to see grades coming through here. I should be reminding you, but I forget probably much like you guys are too. So jumping into the last signing, and I think this is the last signing. I got a little unplugged later today, but last signing now is kind of just like this all around tight end, fullback. I don't know what he is. This is what Grizz said, this is the Lee Smith. Nick O'Leary. And this would be fun. This is like, I mean, look at the dude. Does he not look like, if John Gruden could be a football player, tell me this isn't John Gruden right here. Like, flat out. Of course, he wouldn't be in a Bills uniform. He'd be in a Raiders uniform, 100%. But super random. Super random. Oh, Rod Smith. Shout out Silver and Black Podcast. That's right. I think we brought him back. Pretty sure we just brought Rod Smith back. I'm pretty sure he was on their roster at the end of last season. I don't expect him really. I think he's probably going to go back to the practice squad. But Nick O'Leary. Nick O'Leary. It's a football player right there. That's a Gruden grinder. It's 100% a Gruden grinder. Now, the last thing I want to look at here. We've been talking about this defensive line so much. Let's go ahead and pop up this defensive line one more time. And I've talked about it a little bit. I'm going to drop the chat out a second. I've talked about it a little bit. I want to know in the chat right now, how many sacks is this entire defensive line? This entire defensive line. Not just these guys. Not just the 5 I got listed here. But how many sacks do you think this entire defensive line unit is going to get? That's what I want to know. That's kind of how we're going to wrap up the show. I'll take some Q&As. I'll go through the chat, see what's going on. We're going to close this thing out here pretty soon. Might near an hour. We'll see what goes on. I'm going to keep this thing pretty simple. But how many sacks do you think that this entire line is going to get? 48. Ooh, 55. 70. Ooh, Enrique Lopez, shout out. I'm going to treat this like a bid. Highest number wins. Highest number wins. Someone, I posted this on Instagram with the same caption, and I asked them how many sacks you think they're going to get, and someone said, was it 6 a game? I think it was 6 a game. What is that, like 90-something sacks now? Or no, it's 17 games, so it's like over 100 sacks now in this season. Okay, here we go. Shout out Young here. Let's see, max is 78 plus 20. So 98, bam. 98, 96, 83. You guys are getting it. Grizz, I think, with a more realistic number here about the 45s. The 40s. I had a bold prediction last year. We talked about this on the podcast with Kenny King. And he asked me what's a bold prediction on how many sacks we're going to get. Or he just asked for bold predictions, period. And I said that we were going to triple the sacks from last year, which wasn't saying much because it was like 13 sacks in 2018. I said we're going to triple the sacks. We're going to have over 40 sacks. Or we're going to have 40 sacks. And what do we have? 35? Something like that? 36, something in that range, close. But I think for sure we top 40. We get over the hump. I'd like to see us a top 10 sack unit in the league. If we could be a top 10 sack unit in the league, I think everything else falls in place for us. And now we're fine. We're investing more money a little bit into it. Not a lot, but enough. With Malik Collins and Nassib coming in here, I think we're investing enough here. But get this chat going again. I appreciate the chatters. Hey, shout out to everybody here that's tuned in. And I'm going to take a little Q&A now, I guess. Whatever you guys want to talk about, let me know. Let me set this thing back up, make sure we are running smooth. So what do we want to talk about here, guys? Drop some questions. Boom, boom, boom. Bring Dion back. I agree, Ivan. I agree. 57 sacks. I agree, Quinn. Let's get it. 55, 50. Blake with the 69 with a new number. Got 99 sacks. I like it. I like it. Kenny King. What's going on, Kenny King? I don't think I've seen you in the chat, brother. Make sure if you guys see that moderator Kenny King in the comment section, make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel because let me tell you, man, shout out to my co-host here because dude's been rocking with me since day one, and he's finally branching out to be able to do a little bit of his own production. So he's been working hard at it. Now he understands. You think Worley's coming back? I think at this point, man, that's a good question. I don't know when Worley's going to sign. I talk to Worley often, but I don't know when Worley's going to sign. I mean, as much as I want him to, I don't think he will. I think we're pretty deep at corner. I think Worley, I love him, but I think we just need that good, solid outside, like bump and run guy. I'd love to bring him back I think he's great. I think he's very versatile, but I think we need guys that just like really fit our scheme. A guy that's a bump and run, man to man, outside corner. If we trade down from 19, what would we get realistically? Are you saying pick-wise or player-wise? Because if we trade down from 19, obviously I think we get down into the second round, and maybe we get like maybe a third on top of it or a fourth. There's actually, for those that are very curious, you can look up, I forget exactly what you need to look up, but draft trade point chart, I think is what they do, and they will give you every single pick and the point worth. So, it's just a gauge. Of course, that's not exactly what everybody goes off of. It's just a gauge, so you can kind of see what picks are worth what. So you can see what kind of stuff takes to make a trade. Frank, what's up, Cody? Love your show. How small can you make t-shirts? Oh, there we go. My son is turning 6 and wants a Josh Jacobs shirt. Oh, let's if you follow me on Twitter, DM me, man. Let's get a hold of DC4L Custom Tees and see what we can do. Do you think Kush was a good call? Yeah, I think Kush was a good one, honestly, because we need that defensive line depth. Of course, now, what we're looking at, from what I see, Kush can also play a little center, so I think he's going to be just kind of one of those hybrid guys that can play any interior position on the offensive line when need be. Let's see. Did you hear that the Vegas will host the 2022 NFL Draft since this year was canceled for fans? For what I've heard, actually, from the NFL Draft is they're still working through things. And I think there's still a good chance that the Vegas will host it. I think they're just tracking to see what it does. But I think it's almost guaranteed it's going to be closed off to fans. So it might just be media. Media and, of course, the broadcast. I think it's a good chance. But I do think that Vegas should still get it. They've talked about it, like you said, in a couple more years. Just to get the full, you got to get the full effect. You need the revenue. You know what I mean? That's what Vegas wanted the draft for. They want the draft just to show it on TV. They wanted it for the revenue in their city. So, yes, I have heard that, but I still think that there's a good chance this year it's still there. I'm hoping it is anyways. That's kind of what I've been trying to track it as close as possible. I went ahead and I'm registering right now to make sure I can try and get my media credentials just in case it is only media. To make things still happen. And will still be a broadcast going there. I canceled my rooms for the draft. If anybody booked at Westgate, they actually, I think, canceled the whole block because of it. Everyone's shutting down. Are you going to a game in Vegas? Yes, I will be going to the home opener for sure, and I might try and make a game or two otherwise. As much as I love going to games, I like to be able to try and make some content for you guys, and it's a lot easier if I'm not traveling like crazy. AJ Terrell. Terrell could be a guy. It's going to be hard, our Clemson Raiders, to pass on a guy like AJ Terrell at 19. Shout out to, here's my eyes. Spooth? Is that Spooth? SBS or S Booth? Oh, Steven, is that my guy, Stephen Booth from Twitter? S Booth 25. What's going on, man? AJ Terrell at 19. I can see it happening. Logan Ryan. See, now, I think we are pretty tapped out. I think, cap-wise, I think we're pretty tapped out. Now, Logan Ryan, like I said, there's room to work with. We can create space if we need a guy. I would love Logan Ryan because he can move inside, outside. He can play slot. He can play out wide opposite. Logan Ryan right now is probably my top free agent that I'd like to add on top of that. Let me know what you guys think. Logan Ryan, any other corners? Because I think we need a corner. Do we go draft or do we sign Logan Ryan? Go ahead and comment that. Draft or Logan Ryan? I want to see your guys' opinions here. Sorry guys, I'm a little different here. I'm hot tea tonight because a little chilly and I just wore my windbreaker. Do you think we overpaid or underpaid Corey Lewis? I think we underpaid him, in my opinion. It's only a 3-year deal. But there's guys out there I think getting more per annually. Who is it? Schobert? I think Schobert, in my opinion, I think he got more annually or pretty close, and it was a 5-year contract. So to get him for that cheap for 3 years, I think that was a huge steal. Absolutely huge steal. Logan Ryan, I like the chatters right now. I like the way you guys think. Kenny King, yes, it would be fire. Hanford, California. What's going on, Frank? I'm about 30 minutes away from you. We should have space for one more superstar on the team. I wouldn't say superstar, but I think we can get, another good signing in there, like a Logan Ryan, for sure. We're close. There we go. See, Grizz. That's what I'm talking about, buddy. Coming. So he's $1 million cheap, 5 years though. So I think we got him for a good price. I think that's almost equal value, and I think Corey Littleton was probably the top linebacker in free agency. I'm sure Grizz, who loves Littleton, might argue you otherwise, but Littleton was great. Yeah, Kenny King in the building. Yes, Logan is a free agent. Ruggs or Lamb at wide receiver. Wait, let's see. Lugs or Ram for wide receiver, Queen and linebacker. I think the linebacker in the first round, I think that's out the window. I don't think that there's that stud that was there unless Isaiah Simmons, he's not going to fall to us. But he would be the one guy, if he fell to us, I think that'd be the one linebacker that we take into consideration. But I think linebacker in the first round is kind of tossed out the window now. Really, because for the most part, we're going to run 2 linebacker sets. I mean, we did it almost last year all the time when we just had guys like Whitehead and Compton in there, right? Shout out Will Compton, no free shout outs. But I hope we do bring back Will Compton still. I think that'd tap out our linebacker room. But when you have a guy like Littleton and hopefully the guy that we hope to get out of Kwiatkowski, those 2 guys are going to come in here and they're just going to run the defense all the time. If we draft a first-round linebacker, they're not going to be on the field probably more than 50% of the time. So I think that'd be kind of a waste of a pick, in my opinion. But that was kind of, I guess, the idea. But who thought that we're going to knock linebacker out of the park like we did? I mean, I knew that there was opportunity. I knew that we had a chance to go in there and knock linebacker out of the park, but I didn't think we actually would. What's up, Adrian? What's going on, man? CD Lamb with the 12th pick. If CD Lamb's there at number 12, I will literally make the pick myself. I'm a big CD Lamb guy. I don't know if I still don't know if he makes it to 12. I definitely hope he does. I hope we have all 3 of the biggest wide receivers on the board still at number 12. So Mike Mayock can pick the guy that he wants. But for me, I'm a huge Henry Ruggs guy. I feel like he's like the most surefire guy to be available in our range. And I think that he's, in my opinion, I'd be equally as happy to pick him as the other 2. Everyone's kind of claiming the 2 number 1 wide receivers. But Henry Ruggs, I feel like, in my opinion, everyone's saying, like, we need a number 1 wide receiver. We need a number 1 wide receiver. And so you guys already got me fired up. I wasn't even going to talk about wide receivers until, later down the road. But everyone's talking, this is an all-around number 1 wide receiver. We don't need just an all-around guy. I mean, it's nice to have that true number 1 guy. But we need a guy that's going to fit into this system, into this scheme. And what we're missing is speed that's going to take the top off the defense, and Henry Ruggs is that guy. Obviously, 4.28, 4.27, I think official. Henry Ruggs goes in there and just lights the thing up. It's a whole nother story. Takes the top off defenses. That's a whole nother story. We need an all-around offense, not an all-around just player. We need an all-around offense. We got the crafty Hunter Renfrow. We got a pretty good all-around guy in Tyrell Williams whenever it comes to deep shots down the sideline, stuff like that. You got Darren Waller, who's dang near he's the fastest tight end in the league, in my opinion. Can do it all. And you throw in Ruggs with speed to just open up that offense, man. With Josh Jacobs back there just getting the ball whenever you want him to. Give me Ruggs. Ruggs dictates how the defense plays us. Exactly. Open that thing up. I love CeeDee Lamb, though. I love them both. You guys are asking me who. I love everybody at this point. Jerry Jeudy working out with Antonio Brown, whatever. I mean, I get it. Like, it's kind of, I don't know. How that paints a picture to Mike Mayock, I don't know. Antonio Brown left a pretty bad taste. So, interesting. If they're working out, Jerry Jeudy ain't getting any positive tips from Antonio Brown on the Raiders because for some reason he can't let that go. All 3 are good. Peter, I agree, man. All 3 are good. And Jefferson. I think Jefferson came in a little slow, I believe. I think, and he still work out. How about you guys? To wrap up this live stream, I got like 5 minutes left. You guys want to talk about Tom Brady at all? Any Tom Brady fans in the chat? He had 2 teams interested in him whenever free agency opened up. Right? He had trying to keep up with the chat here. He had San Diego, LA, whatever they are, Chargers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh, man. No. Nobody wants that. There's a lot of messages getting held for review right now whenever I bring up Tom Brady, and I love it. Oh man, that is funny. That is funny. So yeah, the Raiders were signing. Yeah, they didn't even put an offer in. Didn't even put an offer in, but they're interested, guys. I'll say that. Yeah, cool. They were interested. They were so interested that they did make him an offer. Oh yeah, but he brought someone. Okay, so if you guys are looking for a nice house in Vegas, obviously there's probably a Brady residence there available. You can go and get yourself Tom Brady's house in Las Vegas that he never stepped foot in. I wonder what they're gonna do with his share of the team. Right? They were supposed to. He's getting part ownership, right? Part ownership on that 2-year, $60 million deal that was never offered. I wonder if he's still gonna be part owner. Could you imagine playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, who never offered him a contract? Man, that's crazy. Lying season, guys. Lying season. Next year, please remember this. He shook Mark's hand. You're right. Okay, that's enough, Tom Brady. I can't handle this. Yeah, what's that video? Like, you guys are gonna make me do something I want to do. That's how I feel right now. Is Derek Carr a top 10 quarterback? Yeah, I think he'll prove it this year. I think he'll be a top 10 quarterback. I think we'll be a top 10 offense, and I think we'll be a top 10 football team. So that's the theme, Joseph. Top 10, 2020, top 10. Carr's best quarterback last 20 years. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tuck Tom Brady. Love it. Milton, shout out, man. Take care. You too, brother. Appreciate it. Any last questions? Any last comments? Bring them in there. I'm going to try and do this live stream a little bit more often. I like the way it came out. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys being active in the chat. Obviously, free agency is nuts. I'm going to try and do one more in between before the draft, depending on when the draft's going to be. And, of course, we're going to still do our big live broadcast during the draft. That'll be hopefully in Vegas. If not, my brother Kenny King here. I know you're in here. Either I'm flying to you or you're flying to me. We're going to make this thing happen no matter what, somewhere. We're going to be doing something somewhere for a live broadcast in person, making things happen. So, boom, boom, boom. Gosh dang it. Glad the draft is coming up. Yes, sir, Kenny King. Let's get it. I think Josh Jacobs will be better this season. Yeah, I think he'll be better this season than last, just because he's going to be healthy. He's going to be full. He's going to be there for the full season, right? He'll be there for the full season. So I think that's what I appreciate more than anything. So, yeah, we're going to wrap this thing up now. Raider Nation, thanks for joining me. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, make sure you follow me on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to my podcast. Like I said, follow Kenny King Jr. also, and follow his podcast or his YouTube channel. His podcast, I guess, is my podcast too. That doesn't always work out, but appreciate you guys for coming in. This is a little new setup for me, new layout. Let me know if you like the live chat up in the screen. Trying new things. Trying to make it more fun for everybody here. So yeah, man, free agency, playoff Raiders, the 2020 playoff Raiders, we're back, baby. 13 wins. I'll see you guys later.